Beneath the shimmering expanse of stars over Mount Elgon, the night murmured its ancient lore. Constellations, like cryptic messages from the heavens, traced their stories across the velvet sky. An elder, eyes gleaming with the wisdom of countless generations, passed these secrets to his young successor. In those times, the world was an intricate web of nature's design. People read the behaviors of animals and plants, trying to unlock the language of the universe itself. But it was the stars that held the greatest mysteries, guiding toward both prosperity and peril. The sun nurtured life, while the heavens steered the path of those who walked the earth. Shadows of celestial animals raced across the night sky, each embodying its own tale of survival. Soon, a mysterious visitor would descend from the stars, the turtle-tailed comet. This celestial wanderer, enigmatic and foreboding, carried the potential for creation or destruction. Cosmic forces beyond human grasp were poised to tip the scales of the world. To survive, one had to decipher the signs. The young heir's moment had arrived. Before the comet's light streaked the sky, he had to unite the tribes and lead them in the hunt for the elusive horned antelopes. This hunt was no mere test of skill, but a ritual to stave off the approaching doom and usher in a new age. What would the stars reveal in this delicate dance of fate? Life or death? The young heir believed he knew, but only time would unveil the truth to all. The sun blazed mercilessly over the endless savanna, where antelopes grazed in blissful ignorance. Beneath the serene facade of the plains, however, a storm was silently brewing. The sky, dotted with constellations that whispered of change, hinted at a fate far greater than any of them could grasp. The young seer felt the weight of destiny pressing heavily on her shoulders. She had seen the signs in the stars, and she knew this hunt was more than a simple fight for survival. It was a moment that would forever alter the course of their history. As the tribes gathered, old rivalries simmered just beneath the surface. Warriors exchanged wary glances, each remembering past conflicts, each cautious of future betrayal. Yet for the young seer, this hunt held a fragile hope, a chance to unite the fractured tribes in a way no leader before her had. She felt the pressure of tradition pulling her one way, and the needs of her people pulling her in another. The weight of responsibility was suffocating, but the stars had spoken. This was her test, and she couldn't afford to fail. The first tribe moved into position, slipping like shadows through the tall grass. Every step was deliberate, every movement calculated. Their mission, to encircle the herd and guide them toward the narrow pass. The antelopes, still unaware of the danger closing in, continued to graze in peaceful oblivion. The young seer watched, her breath held tight. She had meticulously planned every detail, but doubt gnawed at her. Would the tribes follow her lead when the moment of truth arrived? As the antelopes were funneled toward the pass, the air grew thick with tension. The other tribes, scattered along the outskirts, communicated with subtle gestures, each movement synchronized, their coordination flawless. This was not just a hunt. It was a delicate dance of trust and precision. One misstep from any tribe could send the entire plan into chaos, and the young seer knew that the fragile unity she had worked so hard to build would shatter. Suddenly, a sharp cry pierced the stillness, shattering the fragile calm. The antelopes bolted, their hooves pounding the earth like a heartbeat gone wild. The young seer's heart raced as the hunters sprang into action, stone-tipped spears and heavy clubs whistling through the air with brutal precision. The savanna, moments ago bathed in golden sunlight, transformed into a chaotic battleground. Blood stained the earth as antelopes fell one after another, victims of the tribe's coordinated assault. But even as the dust settled and the bodies of the fallen lay scattered across the plains, the young seer knew the hunt was far from over. The real test was about to begin. The tribes gathered to divide the spoils, and the tension that had briefly subsided returned in full force. One leader, known for his arrogance, stepped forward. His eyes gleamed with greed as he claimed more than his share, his actions a direct challenge to the fragile peace the young seer had forged. The others stood in uneasy silence, but the betrayal was clear. What had started as a unified effort was unraveling before their eyes, consumed by selfish ambition. The young seer's chest tightened as she watched the unity she had fought so hard to build begin to slip away. Anger surged within her, not just at the greed of this leader, but at the fragility of the peace she had so desperately hoped to preserve. The elders whispered among themselves, their voices heavy with ancient wisdom. "The balance is broken," they murmured. "This is no longer a sacred hunt. It has become a contest of greed." But the young seer refused to let this moment define their future. Stepping forward, her heart pounded in her chest, yet her voice remained calm and steady. The eyes of every warrior, elder, and hunter turned to her. She spoke, her words carrying the weight of prophecy and authority. "The bear has not yet left its den," she began, her gaze unwavering. "For now, the serpent must lead. We must bide our time." The words hung in the air, laden with meaning. Slowly, the tension eased. The greedy leader, though still defiant, backed down, unwilling to challenge the young seer's authority openly. For now, the fragile peace was restored. But the young seer knew it was only a temporary reprieve. Inside, doubt and fear gnawed at her. Had she truly quelled the unrest, or had she merely delayed the inevitable? As the tribes dispersed, returning to their own fires, the young seer looked up at the stars. They flickered silently above, as if mocking the turmoil below. The true battle was yet to come, not just between the tribes, but within herself, as she grappled with the burden of leadership and the weight of the destiny that had been placed upon her. In the vast plains surrounding Mount Elgon, young Kara had learned to move like the wind, silent and unseen. Today, he followed a path carved by generations of ancient beasts. The elephants he tracked were his teachers as they moved toward Kitum Cave, a place of mystery and forgotten time. The elephants' movements were deliberate, as if driven by something deeper than instinct. They sought the cave for reasons unknown to Kara, but he knew it was here that he would find answers. Inside Kitum Cave, the elephants dug their tusks into the rock, pulling chunks from the walls, then lifting the pieces to their mouths. What were they seeking in the darkness, in the heart of the earth? Was it salt? A gift of life from the stones? Kara watched from the shadows, his curiosity deeper than his fear. To avoid detection, Kara concealed himself among the remains of creatures long dead. The scent of decay hung in the air, but one thing stood out: a carcass, preserved in an impossible state, its flesh untouched by time. Why had it not rotted? He cut a piece, wrapped it carefully, and slipped away before the elephants noticed. As the sun sank below the horizon, Kara returned home, clutching the strange piece of meat he had taken from the cave. His father, a man of few words but many lessons, awaited him by the fire. Kara knew this was more than a discovery. It was the beginning of a journey beyond the village, beyond the plains. In the eyes of his father, Kara saw understanding. He had taught Kara that the earth hides its secrets, revealing them only to those who dare to seek. Kara was no longer a boy of the tribe. He was something more. He had tasted the unknown, and now there was no turning back. From the moment he could walk, Kara's father had taught him to listen to the language of the wild. Every creature, every breeze, carried a story, a lesson. He learned how the herds moved across the savannah, how the ants created their kingdoms, how the lions stalked their prey under the cover of darkness. He learned to survive not with brute strength, but with the wisdom of nature. On the night before his journey, Kara walked with his father one last time beneath the stars. The night was clear, and the sky stretched endlessly above them. The stars held a map, one that Kara had studied for as long as he could remember. The constellations were not just points of light. They were guides. His father had shown him how to read the sky, how to find his way by the stars. When your time comes, his father had told him, the heavens will show you the path. Kara knew now that his time had come. With the weight of his father's lessons on his shoulders, Kara made ready to leave the village. He was not leaving for adventure or conquest. He was leaving to find the truth, the hidden threads that wove the fabric of his world. His weapons were simple, a hand axe of stone, the skin on his back, and the wisdom of the wild. Kara walked into the dawn, the sun rising behind him, casting long shadows across the savannah. Ahead lay the unknown, but behind him, the lessons of the past burned brightly. He would find the answers he sought, but they would come at a cost. The journey was not about discovery alone. It was about becoming part of the wild, about understanding the balance of life and death. The wild was his teacher, the stars his guide. Kara's journey had begun, and with it, the story of a life forever intertwined with the mysteries of the earth. As the era waned, the heavens shifted. The star of the bear, Polaris, took its throne in the sky, guiding all who dared to dream beyond. Beneath its light, the tribes felt a new dawn stirring in their bones. Yet on earth, a fire brewed, the fire of differences. Conflict spread like shadows across the land, and those defeated had no choice but to journey onward. In the face of clashing differences, conflict erupted, and peace gave way to war. The defeated, wearied and worn, left behind the only home they knew, their footsteps heavy with loss. Their journey had just begun. Amidst the chaos stood Alta, the seer, gifted with the language of the stars. She called to the leaders and spoke of the north, of a land where the earth bloomed with green, and life awaited those who dared to find it. Her voice was woven with wisdom, her eyes alight with visions of a new beginning. They journeyed north, bound by Alta's words and the stars above, each step a prayer, each glance a farewell. They would cross mountains and plains, their spirits holding the weight of an ancient world left behind. Each step claimed a sacrifice, the laughter of a child, the wisdom of an elder, the strength of a warrior, all left in the dust of this unknown path. But with every loss, their resolve only deepened. They would not turn back. Their tools were crude but strong, sharpened stones, woven baskets, spears hewn from wood. Their hands bore the marks of survival, crafting each tool not just to live, but to create and protect. They had become the architects of their fate. The green Sahara opened its arms, a land of promise and plenty. They had found what they sought, though it demanded their strength and will. In these new lands, they would build anew, carving hope from earth and sun. Yet among them were those who felt the pull of a further journey. They had tasted the unknown, and it spurred them onward, their eyes fixed on lands unseen. Beyond the horizon lay a boundless expanse, and they could not ignore its call. The great sea met them with ancient tides, testing their will. But they pressed on, driven by the yearning for new lands. And when the journey seemed endless, the distant shore rose to greet them, their dream made real. In those distant valleys, they found life unfurling in vibrant colors, a new world cradled by nature's gentle hand. Here at last, they would plant the seeds of tomorrow. The journey's end was also a beginning. Their journey, written among the stars, carved by loss and resilience, ended here. Alta whispered to the heavens, the story of their wandering sealed in starlight. They would live on, bound by the legacy of the bear's guiding light, each of them a spark in the endless night. As the unforgiving winter spread its icy grasp over the land, only faint echoes of life remained. Orna, the last woman of her tribe, clung desperately to survival, her infant held close. Alongside a few weary men, Orna sought shelter on the mountain's edge, escaping the perils of the savannah. Yet hunger and cold gnawed at their bodies, hollowing their spirits. For 6 days, Orna had been without food. With the last of her strength, she fed her child before collapsing, her gaze lifting to the heavens, a silent plea for salvation. Then through the curtain of mist, a shadow appeared. From the light he came, his hair white as snow, his skin pale as the moon, seeming as though he belonged to another world. Wisdom beyond time shone in his gaze. He approached the weary men first, offering them food and water, gifts they could scarcely believe. Exhausted, they could only accept, grateful for this mysterious stranger's mercy. Then he turned to Orna. Her time had passed, but in her child, life still flickered. With great care, he lifted the baby from the cold mud and breathed upon it, 3 gentle breaths, as if life itself flowed from his lips. On the 3rd breath, the infant gasped and cried, a sound that broke the silence, a signal of new life. For the first time in days, hope returned to the tribe's hearts. And in that very moment, as if the heavens themselves had answered, the Suchinshan comet pierced the night, its light not only heralding the end of winter's reign, but bearing the promise of life renewed. The stranger looked upon the child, their gazes locked in a silent exchange. In that moment, he gifted the tribe a future. And then, as quietly as he arrived, he vanished into the mist, leaving behind only hope. Under the comet's watchful glow, the tribe saw in Orna's child a new beginning. They believed that Suchinshan's passing had signaled not only the end of darkness, but the dawn of a new age. In the early mornings of our ancient world, life stirs with the rising sun. In tropical rainforests, valleys, and desert oases, tribes begin their routines. Men sharpen their tools, women craft and prepare, and children learn through play. The environment, though diverse, shares a common rhythm, the pursuit of survival. Home is shaped by the land. In the forests, branches and clay create cool shelters. By rivers and springs, reeds and mud provide protection. In the hills, caves offer safety from predators. Across regions, these structures reflect the resilience and creativity of humanity. The hunt unites them. Spears and nets bring down prey in forests and deserts, while waters yield their bounty to those who dare to cast their nets. Every region offers sustenance, but only to those who work in harmony with nature. After the day's labors, joy ignites in the glow of firelight. Music, laughter, and dance connect them to one another and to the world around them. In celebration, they honor the life they fight to sustain. Trade bridges their worlds. Across mountains, rivers, and seas, tribes share goods, ideas, and stories. From the blonde-haired seafarers come vessels and tools. From the land dwellers, hides and food. Each exchange brings knowledge, fostering connections that defy distance. When nature tests them, they endure. Storms and floods may take what they have built, but the tribes rebuild stronger each time. In every trial lies renewal, and in every loss, a lesson for the future. Beneath trees and firelight, wisdom shapes their future. Councils deliberate on hunts, trades, and alliances. Each voice carries the weight of experience, for in unity lies the strength to face what lies ahead. Driven by hope, they journey forward. Across valleys, forests, and seas, they seek new lands, new opportunities. In their hands, they carry the tools of their survival. In their hearts, the unyielding spirit of humanity. Together they move toward the unknown, carrying with them the dream of a brighter future. These lands, now submerged beneath the Mediterranean's waters, were once home to one of humanity's most enigmatic civilizations. Their world now rests in silence, preserved in an underwater graveyard. The land of the fair-haired people was a paradise on Earth, and it would remain so until the Mediterranean claimed it beneath its waves. To these people, the Earth was not just a resource, but a sacred trust. Every harvest was seen as a gift from nature, a symbol of their bond with the land. This society had mastered the language of stone. Their architecture was more than shelter. It was a testament to their unity with nature. For these people, family and community were the cornerstones of life. Stories passed down their history, and their togetherness sowed hope for the future. Nature was their teacher and companion. The language of plants and stones was the guiding force of this civilization. The sky was their first guide. By watching the dance of the stars, they learned the flow of time and the secrets of direction. Art was the mirror of their soul. Every line told a story. Every symbol held meaning. The leaders of this society were not only strong but wise. Their guidance maintained harmony and order within the civilization. Necessity sparked creativity. Every material offered by nature was transformed into a new purpose in their hands. In this society, knowledge wasn't just an individual treasure. It was a shared legacy between generations. Each new symbol carried the essence of a discovery, a story, and wisdom. Wood and stone were the cornerstone of this civilization's engineering marvels. Mechanisms like water mills channeled the forces of nature to serve humanity's needs. By transforming nature's materials, these people made life easier. Beeswax and resin were used to create waterproof coatings and durable tools. The light of nature became a tool for science. Stone lenses and mirrors were used to bridge distances and magnify small details. Advanced storage methods ensured not just the preservation of food, but also the continuity of knowledge and life. Every container carried the promise of survival. Sound was more than a communication tool. It was a source of energy and movement. Acoustic waves gave a new voice to the language of nature. Biological processes were among their energy sources. Algae and plants served not only as food, but also as a means of energy generation. Crystals played a crucial role in storing and transmitting energy. The power of the sun was captured within these stones, ready to be used when needed. By understanding the speed and power of light, they built their own communication networks. Distances were no longer a barrier. This civilization mastered the art of genetic modification through natural methods. More resilient and productive species revolutionized both agriculture and livestock. Learning from nature, this society developed simple yet effective ways to control their environment. The dance of steam and water made living spaces more hospitable. The sky was not just a mystery to this civilization. It was a guide. Their rituals sought to understand the universe's order and live in harmony with it. They were open not only to their own community, but also to others around them. Trade became a bridge for exchanging goods, knowledge, and friendship. This civilization saw consciousness not just as an individual experience, but as a universal connection. Energy and awareness permeated every aspect of life. Oceans were not barriers, but horizons to be explored. Using nature's wind and currents, they expanded their world and discovered new lands. These monumental structures were not just architectural feats, but reflections of a shared dream. Every stone symbolized collective effort and unity. This civilization saw nature not as a resource, but as a partner. Every space they used was designed to be returned to the earth. The sky was an endless source of inspiration for their quest for discovery. By charting the stars, they sought to understand both the world and the cosmos. Understanding the flow of time played a vital role in shaping their lives. Every moment was lived in harmony with the cycles of nature. The traces of this civilization remind us of the forgotten wealth of the past. Yet this story opens the door to even more questions waiting to be explored. "74,000 years ago, Earth stood at the dawn of human evolution. The serene landscape of the Toba region in Sumatra was a thriving habitat, surrounded by lush forests and life-giving waters. But beneath this peaceful surface, an unimaginable force was brewing, deep within the Earth's crust. For millions of years, the Toba magma chamber grew, pushing the Earth's crust to its limits. The increasing pressure foretold the impending catastrophe. The Toba region was a paradise of biodiversity, a cradle of life teeming with species uniquely adapted to this fertile environment. Nature sounded its warnings. Tremors shook the ground, steam hissed from fissures, and even the animals seemed to sense the great danger approaching. Then, it happened. In a single moment, Earth's crust could no longer contain the immense power beneath it. The Toba supervolcano unleashed one of the most violent eruptions in history, forever altering the planet. A massive fire column erupts from the lake bed, spewing molten rock and ash tens of kilometers into the sky. The horizon darkens within moments as volcanic debris rains down. Toba's explosion tore apart 2,800 cubic kilometers of Earth, ejecting ash and molten rock high into the atmosphere. The sheer force of the eruption was unparalleled in human history. The eruption created a towering ash plume that circled the Earth, blocking sunlight and plunging the planet into darkness. In India, lake beds collected ash layers up to 3 meters thick, while a global average ash layer of 1 to 2 centimeters coated the Earth. Lava flows incinerated everything in their path. In mere hours, Toba's surroundings were transformed into a barren wasteland. The Toba eruption was not a localized disaster. It changed the world. For 6 to 10 years, Earth was shrouded in a volcanic winter, a trial of survival for every living being. Millions of tons of sulfur dioxide were released into the stratosphere, forming a barrier that blocked sunlight. Global temperatures plummeted, and darkness blanketed the Earth. In Greenland's ice cores, scientists found sulfur traces dating back 75,000 years. These layers reveal the magnitude of Toba's impact on Earth's atmosphere. Toba's ash blanketed regions far from its source, with evidence preserved in lake sediments across South Asia. The global reach of this eruption remains unmatched in scale. Toba Lake, formed in the aftermath of the eruption, is a natural wonder. It stands as both a monument to destruction and a symbol of renewal. Recent discoveries of volcanic glass, animal fossils, and stone tools near Toba show that life existed before, during, and after the eruption. These findings provide a window into a distant past forever altered by this event. "74,000 years ago, the Earth was cloaked in darkness as the Toba supervolcano erupted, casting ash into the skies. The heavens turned gray, the sun faded, and humanity entered the longest winter in history. Gases and debris spread across the atmosphere, altering climates, silencing rivers, and killing animals and plants. Even the fertile lands of Central Africa could not escape this devastation. Tribes were scattered, starving and freezing. Each new day brought more destruction. Nature was no longer a nurturing mother, but an unforgiving adversary. Sheltering in caves, the few who survived turned on each other. The strong endured, the weak perished. Yet even in this darkness, the spark of humanity did not fully extinguish. A mother clutched her child tightly to keep them warm. A hunter shared the last morsel of food, ensuring the survival of his tribe. Those who survived this era were not only physically strong, but also spiritually resilient. This 6-year winter was humanity's ultimate test. Those who emerged from the ashes rebuilt themselves, carrying the memory of this catastrophe in their stories and myths. It was a lesson in the fragile balance with nature, one that would echo through time. "74,000 years ago, the Earth was plunged into darkness. The eruption of the Toba supervolcano sent ash and gases into the skies, blotting out the sun and bringing forth a 6-year-long winter. Life, once abundant, teetered on the edge of extinction. Yet along the Mediterranean coast, a civilization endured. Harnessing geothermal energy, they cultivated warmth in the cold and food in the barren. Their technology shielded them from the world's suffering. Beyond their walls, desperation reigned. The tribes, once trading partners and allies, now begged for help. But fear of disease and dwindling resources hardened the hearts of the isolated. The leaders decreed isolation. Their gates closed, their resources hoarded, their compassion extinguished. Survival became their only creed, no matter the cost. Not all agreed with this heartless decree. Some, moved by compassion, sought to aid those suffering, but their voices were drowned by fear and pragmatism. The tribes dwindled. Disease ravaged their camps. Famine turned brother against brother. Their pleas echoed against the fortified walls, but found no answer. Amidst the isolation, acts of defiance emerged. Small gestures of kindness, risky and forbidden, offered fleeting hope to the suffering. But kindness was punished, labeled as betrayal. The city turned inwards, forsaking not only their neighbors, but the essence of their humanity. One final plea rose from the ashes, a voice weathered by time, asking not for food, but for memory. "Remember us," he whispered, as the gate stood silent. The winter ended, but the scars remained. Those who survived rebuilt, their stories of betrayal and resilience shaping a new era. History would remember the city not for its strength, but for its silence.